So 8:01, we can call the meeting to order. First thing on the agenda, approval of the minutes from June 19th. I sent them out. Did anybody have a chance to look at them?
I thought they were.
No changes?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so
I would move that we approve those minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Doesn't look like we have any old business to deal with. So if we want to go right to the health department update.
Sure. Marcia Quillen with the health department. We are getting ready for flu and COVID shots. We're going to have a drive-through clinic like usual through the pavilion. Flu, COVID, both at the same time if people would like. We're going to have a digital electronic sign up this time. So we'll have little QR codes people can scan to sign up ahead of time. Those will be out in the paper next week for people to start signing up, hopefully. What else do we have? And that's pretty much a big thing right now.
Do you have a date on that?
Yes, October 8th for here in Shoto, and the 9th for Fairfield, and the following week for Dutton and Power. And that'll be in the newspaper this week too. And it's a trivalent influenza vaccine this year. It's a quadrivalent like it's been the last while. And I think we're gonna start doing our chip assessments in November, sometime later this fall, so look for those emails to review for the improvement process.
The plans as well.
What?
Oh, the chem pack in the trucker.
The plans, yeah, so the plans haven't changed at all. I looked through them, they look fine to me. If you guys would just review them, I can mark them as reviewed, we don't need them signed or anything. Let me know if I need to make any edits, please.
It looks like it's probably my turn. So I do have one thing that needs action. There had a family contact me. They're kind of near Greenfield School. They're hoping they bought a piece of land and they're hoping to do a butcher shop there. We were talking about kind of how to do the wastewater system because initially that was going to be a lot of blood waste and they're hoping to just do a regular drain field, which wouldn't be allowed. That's kind of high strength stuff. And I know that area already suffers with nitrate levels. It was actually a nice meeting though. I was able to talk to a guy in the Flathead region, I think, that went through the DEQ recently with a full plan on how to really minimize how much waste he was creating and then how to deal with it once he had it. So I was able to get them to really cut back on how much waste they think they're generating at all. So a lot of that blood waste is actually going to be able to get thrown away with solid waste instead, which is a much better spot for it. Let the landfill deal with it rather than our water table. And so the only thing, oh, sorry, Carmen can't hear.
Oh.
Let me scooch up. Sorry, can you hear now, Carmen? Okay. So the last little bit of wastewater that it did have, it still include blood waste, which would be kind of considered that high strength industrial waste. So I asked them, or they were actually interested in doing a holding tank, which would require variance from the Board of Health. Normally it's just for seasonal usage. However, talking with Ken Hart, who does his shop just outside of town between here and Augusta, they're probably only looking at emptying that tank every month and a half or so. He does his monthly and he does land applying just directly onto his ag land. She's got an agreement with their neighbor to do that if they need to, but we don't usually require them to have a specific spot figured out for land applying for holding tank variances. It's just you call a septic pumper in and they'll take it to wherever they have the agreement with. So that's kind of why I'm asking for the holding tank variance. Is a traditional drain field system I don't think is in the best interest of the community. It would be a very expensive system for them to treat that wastewater to a point where it can go into the groundwater. And holding tank is just going to be a better option. Any questions for that one?
Do you ever go back and inspect, like once they put the holding tank in, to make sure they actually did it?
I'll inspect the holding tank. I won't do regular visits to see like, oh, are you guys pumping it often enough? Where does it actually go now?
How big a tank do they put in?
I was convincing, I think they were looking at a 1500. It was funny, they found one on Craigslist from like 5 hours away or something to go get. I was like, call Fagenstorm real quick. You're within the free delivery range. I'm sure that's going to be easier for you to deal with, and sure enough it was, and so they're able to actually upgrade their size on that too. So I think it's 1500, it could be up to 2000. I don't think Fagenstorm really does larger than that typically. But I was telling them just kind of do the biggest one you can. Especially with the septic tanks, holding tanks is, once you already are creating them, adding 500 gallons to the size is pretty minimal increase in cost. That's going to pay for itself within one pump usually.
So you need a motion?
Yep, I'll need a motion to approve Zuccotti holding tank variance.
So moved.
Okay.
Second. There you go. Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. I'll let them know. The very last thing I have, I really don't have any update on. So just a reminder, South Bench Estates, this is not the newest subdivision on that bend right outside of Fairfield. It's the one that happened a few years ago. Basically what happened was I got a complaint from from their HOA, saying that somebody in the new subdivision was putting in a well, which wouldn't be allowed, and they were worried about the impact of their wells. And my response to that was, which wells are you guys talking about? Because they have the exact same restriction. Nobody out there is supposed to be having a well for the residential system. The well driller that was out there though, for the new one, they actually had that classified with the DNRC as a livestock well. Of course, I don't have any idea whether or not that's the actual case, but that's what they had told the developer, that's what they told the well driller, that's what they self-reported to the DNRC. And according to the DEQ, yeah, you're not allowed to use a well for residential use through those COSAs, those certificate of subdivision agreements. But they've got absolutely no issue at all with somebody putting in a livestock well. Those COSAs are really just for human health, where the wastewater is going, where the solid waste is going, where the drinking water is coming from, that kind of thing. So I looked into it, and they had, I think, 8 wells in that South Bench Estates that were self-reported to the DNRC as residential or domestic use wells. And I even have emails or letters from Green to one of the landowners there saying, hey, you're not allowed to do this, go through the DEQ for a rewrite. And sure enough, he's on the list of domestic wells without any kind of rewrite. So I don't think the HOA was happy to hear that not only is the well driller not doing anything wrong, but they're not allowed to be doing that. And they assumed that they were allowed to because they reported to the DNRC that it was domestic use, and the DNRC didn't throw up any red flags because it's not their job to do that. So they just assumed that, oh yeah, we told them it was domestic, nobody yelled at us, we're fine. But yeah. DEQ has been pretty slow lately, so this is not the only project I'm waiting to hear from. The other one is the campground here in Choteau. They did, excuse me. The campground did just a rearrangement of lot lines. for the camp. Turns out that needs a COSA as well, or what I was hoping for was a municipal facilities exclusion, basically where the campground and the city jointly say, city can handle all of our services, we don't need you to review this, and the DEQ is like, great, we don't need to review it either. I've been just trying to get them to confirm that that's gonna be an okay case for the campground, and I have not been able to get a single useful answer out of them yet. I know that's been a frustration for the campground, is that they're kind of in this regulatory waiting room where, you know, I set a pretty clear expectation for them, and then they're just running into a roadblock along the way. So I told them, just go ahead and keep doing the work, we'll get the approval, especially because they're not actually going to have an increase in use. But I've got the same thing going on with a trailer court in Dutton. I'm hopefully having them link up with a surveyor that's working on a campground or an RV campground in Choteau, that's looking for approval eventually. But yeah, it's just been a really weird niche case for the DEQ that I haven't been able to get a solid answer on. I've sent an email asking, basically describing all 3 projects I have going on, and asking, is an MFE going to be applicable for this case? And they'll reply with a question like, does the city own the mains? And I'll say, yep, they own the mains, and then I'll not hear from them again. So I guess my story with that is that I'm not surprised I haven't heard back from the DEQ yet. It seems like they're maybe a little slow and backlogged on some stuff, especially the subdivision review section. So I'll have to hopefully give you an update next meeting on that one, but right now I don't have anything. Any questions on that one?
What's DQ?
Sorry?
DQ.
Oh, the DEQ?
DQ. Environmental.
Yep,
Environmental quality. Oh, I thought you said DQ. Okay. All right, acronyms.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess anything else people want to discuss?
Have there been much COVID reported in the community?
Yes, there are an increase in cases. I believe there's 7 confirmed cases, and those are of the people who are getting tested at the doctor. So home tests are not included in that. It's definitely making its rounds. I'm not sure what strain it is, but I'm assuming it's the one that the vaccine is for.
Is that like since school started or?
Probably this last couple weeks, 2 weeks, it's been picking up. But the recommendations have changed, and so it's not like a 5-day requirement to be feeling better. It's essentially now, if you feel better, fever-free, symptom-free for 24 hours, then you can go back to doing your normal. It's interesting.
So that's kind of self-evaluated.
Yep.
Right, well, I guess if there's nothing else, 15 minutes, we can adjourn.
Set a new record, didn't you?
Yeah, who needs Melissa?
I'm sorry I got out of bed.
We should all